First of all, we are just so happy to be here today with Dr. Emem Omokaro from Nigeria, Africa. And you're here with I'm now going to gallery view. You're here with Dr. Jan Hively, co-founder of the Pass It On Network, and myself, Moira Allen, also co-founder of the Pass It On Network, with Jan, who's been my mentor and friend all through this wonderful journey that we're having. Just 3 words about the Pass It On Network. Dr. Emem, you know, we're a grassroots network of elders adapting to the mega trend of the aging world. And we really are directly impacted, and we find ourselves living in a world and in societies that are slow to react to what our needs are and what this actually means to them. We challenged on all fronts, and we find it very helpful and comforting to be in this network that we've created of peers all around the world, and to learn from them and to stimulate each other and to help each other for how we're going to live these extra years that science has given to us. And I know that you have an extraordinary attitude towards positive aging, and that's what we are all about. And that's why we're really so happy to be with you today. And I must just say a few words of introduction about you. Of course, you are the star today.
And every day, I think.
Every day, yes, absolutely, absolutely. In the short time that we've known you, we've come to respect and admire you. You're known throughout Africa for your academic and advocacy work. You earned your PhD in social development in Nigeria, and then went on to study gerontology with the United Nations International Institute on Aging in Malta. And you've deepened those bonds with Malta all along. So it really wasn't surprising when they decided to open up their very first satellite training center for Africa that they chose Nigeria, and especially you, to head it up. Because contrary to the rest of the world, Africa has a demographic pyramid like that, whereas we in developed countries, we sort of going very wonkily like that. And I believe in Africa today, there's 70% of the people under the age of 30. But notwithstanding that fact, the number of older people on the continent is growing and growing and growing exponentially. You're a tireless champion of older people's rights, and we've seen you in action throughout the whole of Africa, and you've managed to rally Africa to this cause. And you are co-chair of the stakeholders group on Aging for Africa. You're also a published poet, and we'd love to hear about that at some stage. But right now, what is really topmost in our mind is this new government policy for older people in Nigeria. And we'd like to congratulate you for being chosen to be the very first director of the National Senior Citizens Center. The National Senior Citizen Center in Nigeria. You're now the Director General. So we'd be very, very happy if you could explain to us what this means and where this puts Nigeria in terms of the whole of Africa. Over to you.
For so many years, we have advocated for mechanisms and processes and systems to be in place. Otherwise, there is really no way you can convey programs and services to older persons. We have always advocated for the enlargement or enhancement of institutional capacity and policy, and then of course, with which now you can now have a budget, and you can really say that older persons have been integrated in development. Otherwise, we can talk all we want, advocate all we want, without the institution and the policy and the strategic plan broken down into programs and activities and the budgets, there is really nothing that we can do for older persons. So earlier this year, we were able to get our national policy on aging approved by the president, a policy that we had worked on for so long. So with that policy now, there was a legislation that we had been pursuing, because we thought that because of the nature of aging and the fact that it's multi-sectoral, and then it's multidisciplinary. We really needed a coordinating agency that can speak for the inclusion of older persons in all the sector programs. So for long, we have pushed for this commission, if you will, if you call it that, or an agency or a secretariat that will really focus on older persons and assist older persons to be included in every program policy, in every social economic opportunities that they needed to be included. So in 2012, the legislation for the establishment of a senior citizen center was passed. And in 2018, we were able to secure the approval, the assent of the president. So we have a Senior Citizen Center Act. That's the legislation, which is the foundation for the establishment of the Senior Citizen Center as a body corporate with a board. So we have now the Senior Citizen Center as the Senior Citizens Agency, okay, and which has a board of directors who are there to guide policy, and of course, you know the work of the board, and then also a director general who is in charge of, you know, executing the decisions of the board, and of course, the day-to-day administration of that center. So now that center has the mandate to provide, facilitate, and empower the inclusion of older persons in economic, social, educational, psychological, any development opportunity. In fact, it is so explicit what this board has been directed to do by law. It's established by law that this center, number one, has to provide for the dignity, the well-being, security, and enhanced capacities of older persons to continue to participate in communities, continue to contribute, and then be guaranteed their rights in an enabling environment. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, this center is like translating everything that the Madrid International Plan of Action recommended. So the center, number one, is to reorient the citizens, fundamentally encourage a positive attitude towards aging, old age, and older persons, and then fight against discrimination, stem ageism, and to help to promote inclusive system. And then two, this agency is directed to develop social programs, any kind of social programs that will lead to the well-being and the security of older persons. And three, this agency is also directed to develop work schemes, entrepreneurship, enhance, develop training programs for older people so that they can continue to engage in whatever they value. And then this agency is also directed to create opportunities for long life learning opportunities. This is an agency is directed to ensure that older persons have that opportunity to continue to learn. And then, of course, the agency also is to create livelihood enhancement opportunities. Livelihood enhancement opportunities to encourage, enhance the capacities of older persons to continue to engage in productive ventures, help them to make money, make profits, and continue to earn a living for those who value, to continue to earn a living. And then this agency is to support and conduct research and build a data system and manage that data system for older persons in Nigeria. You know that before now, older persons were never included in any periodic survey, any national survey, we were left out. So if you're looking for data on older persons now, it will be very difficult to have any comprehensive data on older persons. And we have been advocating. So now, embedded in the directives for this center is that we should conduct our own survey and develop our own data system, of course, the security, and then manage that system. And then again, this center is directed by law to seek out international linkages and collaborations. Anything that will support our research, anything that will support partnerships and collaborations to push forward our agenda, we have the latitude to seek out such collaborations, and so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, this is this agency that I have been asked to pioneer, to set the templates, the organogram, and then, to begin to realize all these lofty ideas. So you can see why we are so excited in Nigeria. So, and what is going to guide what underpins this mandate is, number one, the national policy that we have on aging, because that national policy is very comprehensive. It brings intervention in all these areas that I'm talking about, recommends interventions. And so we'll be guided very well by that national policy. We'll be guided by the Sustainable Development Goals Agenda 2030, which was also incorporated in that policy. We'll be guided by the Global Strategy on Healthy Aging, 2020-2030. Of course, the Madrid International Plan of Action. Any document at all that we lay our hands on that will help our strategic implementation plan, because that's one of the first things that we are going to undertake, a 5-year strategic plan to lay the blueprint for how we are going to conduct and carry on the agency. So of course, we have that. So what I have done since I took over, while we are waiting for the physical office, and of course, the bureaucracy, physical office, the postings of staff that are already in existence in other, federal ministries, before we now can start to employ us, is that with the board, we have been looking at what should be our vision, to have clarity about our vision, about our mission statements, about our commitments, and then to really now decide what our strategy should be, a general strategy, knowing that older persons are not homogeneous, knowing the different unique needs and the varying needs of older persons, and knowing that they are not in one location. We have older persons in our remote and rural areas. We have those ones in the suburb. We have older persons, a few of them that have assets, they are financially okay. And we have those ones that have special needs. We have the very frail and the very sick. We have the stigmatized, all kinds of older persons. So what should be our strategy in reaching to all these older persons? So we are spending time to position the Senior Citizen Center. Of course, you know that all these mandates, all these functions that we have to carry out sit as statutory mandates of the different ministries. For instance, health. Health is a core mandate of the Federal Ministry of Health. And of course, the primary healthcare agency. And of course, when we talk about agriculture, 70% of our older persons are subsistence farmers in the rural areas. And the core mandate for agriculture sits in the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. And then when we talk about health insurance for older persons, there is an agency in charge of health insurance, and so on and so forth. So, which means our ministry, I said earlier, is going to have to work very structurally, very closely with these ministries that have the core mandates to ensure that we ride on their mechanisms and processes, and we ensure that we extract what is ours and see how we can work with them to get quick access to older persons in these different areas. For instance, health. The primary health is the health that is basically in the rural areas, That is the first call, the primary healthcare center. But over these years, our primary healthcare centers have only served for maternal and child because, of course, of our population. So they have really been catering for pregnant women and newborns, immunization, and so on and so forth. So now we are positioning to ensure that geriatric assessments and then geriatric care to some extent is included in that mandate in every primary healthcare. So that is an example I'm using.
Very good.
So that is what we are set to do. So as a coordinating agency, as an initiating agency, we're going to design and develop programs as well. We have really already started developing very fantastic, innovative, intergenerational programs. I give you one example. The program that I would like to run is what I call Continuing Engagement Bureau. So if you're retired, for instance, you're an older person, you're retired, and you want to continue to volunteer your service, want to continue to work, because they carry so much institutional memories. They have, they have expertise, they have, wisdom, name it. And so many of them retire, and before you know, they are gone, they are dead because of inactivity.
Right.
So we are creating this bureau for them to register and in what areas they would like to work. And then we are going to fashion voluntary programs and then ensure that we continue to use for our older persons, give them some stipend and facilitate their transportation so that they can continue to enjoy themselves and give what they have to the youth. And then the youth intergenerational voluntary programs as well. So that is like one program that we are creating. And then another program that we are creating is that in our rural areas, we have older persons that are still engaged in productive ventures. Some of them are artisans. They are craftsmen. They are weaving mats. They are making pots, poultry. They are making all manners of things, but they have been ignored, largely ignored. So most of them are growing old and dying out, and the youth are not interested in those traditional crafts and arts and things. So we are creating a program that will incentivize our youth to get back to their community, to join hands with our elderly people, older persons in this productive venture, and then come up with a community enterprise that we can fund. We can give them grants.
Right. Great.
So that if you can now show us that you have revived a traditional venture and you have made it intergenerational and is led by an older person, and you show us the new innovations that you have brought, we will fund and give you grants and support you with market and all until you can begin to make profits.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so these are the programs that we are developing, and and we are really, really very excited. And now we have our platform. And we are going to have a budget. We're going to have a budget. Yes.
The way you talk about it, your eyes are sparkling and you're smiling, and it's just.
Yes, because I'm so excited. So in a nutshell, when they ask me what's the vision of this center, I just say, what I see? I see happy, satisfied, dignified, valued older people.
Wonderful.
who find that their longevity is respected, contributions honored, and who really have the zest to continue to live and to contribute.
Wonderful.
Well, I would love to have the actual language of the law that you had approved by your Congress, because
I will send it to you.
I think that your description is the model for the world, and frankly, given the long years of lobbying for the UN convention, a UN convention to support the human rights of older people, it seems to me that each one of us needs to think about what's going on right where we live, so that we can work on our country approving the kind of law that you have approved. I know that we need that desperately here. I think that it's interesting about your thinking about how it's positioned in relationship, for example, to the Minister of Health and in relationship to the Minister of Agriculture, to make sure that it's connected, to make sure that your priority policies can actually be worked through. So I think that, Moira, I hope that we will be able to put the law on in our resources in our pathways, and
Yes, absolutely.
to write an article so that we can encourage our various liaisons in different countries to pay attention and make use of that as they get in touch with their own representatives in their own country. But it seems to me, Dr. Omo, that Dr. Emem, may I call you that? Is that all right? I think that your role being in the most populous country in Africa, I think is so extremely important for all of Africa. I hope that the African Union is paying attention to it. I know that Moira and our South African network is paying attention to it. But we all need to pay attention to your example. It's very important.
I really find it so interesting, and I think that we can go quite far if we use it.
For old guys is geezers. So we arranged, for example, an online shop for people to buy. The greedy geezers would post, each one posts a picture. Maybe they make canes, or maybe they make baskets, but there was a price to it and it made the money. So I think that it's there. We need to recognize it and work with it.
Yes. And another area that I would like to tell you about is a department that I could call Health and Social Care. And one of the units of that department is going to really focus on care quality. Because as you know, we have a challenge in Africa, especially sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria particularly, that we really have not yet developed a long-term care system.
Right.
Care still falls on families, and family already the pattern support system, of course, has been compromised by migration and all those things. So you really have adult children who give this care that are really struggling because they are sandwiched between their parents and their own children. And now there's a growing incidence of dementia, we notice, all these cognitive problems.
Yeah, huge.
So families, they don't know what to do because we really don't have those facilities. And because of the market now that is needed, people are just opening all manners of facilities without regulation. Because we did not have that regulation, there was no focal agency for that training, certification, regulation, inspection. So one of the critical things that we are going to do is, number one, we are going to develop a standard curriculum for training caregivers, all the levels. And then we are going to, really enforce certification. And that certification, we are going to give a pathway as career to caregivers by working closely with other technical educational boards, so that if you go for training for certification, it's not a waste. You're not confined only to your family or to wherever. You can have a career path so that we can encourage people to go in there. And then serious inspection, working with law enforcement to ensure that you cannot open a place anyhow. It has to keep to standards. So that care quality standard, capacity building is going to really be emphasized. And we are looking at bringing subject matter experts and older persons themselves and some family members to really see if we can have a hybrid, since they don't want to go into facilities or institutions and the family cannot do it on its own. What kind of hybrid can we develop where the medical meets the family? where the medical needs the family, people are encouraged to age in place. And then where medical care can still get to family and the family members can still be trained. Something to become like a respite and a relief to, caregivers, family caregivers. So we are really, really going to do that.
Yes, this concern that you have is absolutely worldwide. We simply do not have enough professional caregivers, and it's so much the responsibility in the family, and it's so difficult with different generations to care for, and with work to be done, etc. It's wonderful that you're taking that on.
Right. So, Emem, what would you say to wrap up? What would you say your biggest challenge was in the year and 2 years ahead?
My biggest challenge really is speed and accessibility. How after we have developed these programs and first research to ensure that the needs assessment is right, that we don't just think, oh, this is what they need. How we can get that machinery mechanism in place to have evidence of what is needed by those that these services are delivered to, and their response to these interventions so that we get it right. That's number one. And because Nigeria is so expensive, Nigeria is a large country in terms of square meter miles. So how to really tunnel care and all these services to reach older persons that will not leave one person behind. That's my challenge.
Wow.
That's number one. And then number two will be how to get the state, because we operate a federal system. So we have 3 tiers of government. We have the federal government, we have the state government, and then we have the local government. They operate independently to a large extent, but there are some subject matter that's on the concurrent list. For instance, health. The tertiary healthcare is for the federal government. The secondary healthcare, hospitals and all in the state for the state government. Then the primary healthcare is a collaboration, coordination of the 2 governments, the 3 governments. Yeah. So now this National Senior Citizen Center Act is a federal government act. That's why it's national. But because the state operates independently, they have their state assembly. So we cannot force the states. We can only persuade the states to use it as guideline to domesticate the same acts. Okay. So it is in the document, the legislation, that states are encouraged. States are encouraged, that's the word. States are encouraged to build senior centers, to adopt the senior center model. So my challenge is going to be to engage state governments, because the constituents that we are going to save are in the states, the rural areas.
Right.
So that for us to now really have that structural collaboration and it's easy, seamless, the states have to come along. So we are going to be engaging state governments.
So that's your job, to go and sell your enthusiasm and belief in this project to the state governments.
Yes.
Are there already some of the states that are interested and keen to?
There are some of the states. Yeah, there are some states, especially in the West, because Nigeria is such, we have the Western region, we have the Eastern, we have Midwest, we have North. The West are very highly educated, the West. And generations have lived abroad in the West, unlike the other part. So you find a situation where they already have policies on aging, most of the states. They already started, some of them already started social pensions, old age grants. So those ones will not have any problems, because they are already on the path.
Right.
But there are some states that will maybe just tell you that that's not their priority, not for now. We want to delay a bit. We expect to see such. But that won't stop us from, using the institutions of the federal government that are already in place. For instance, I talked about health, primary health care. They have centers all over the country. Human Rights Commission, they have their structures all over the country. Legal Aid Council, they have structures all over the country. National Orientation Agency have structures all over the country. So we are entering into partnerships with all these national agencies that already have structures up to the rural areas.
Right.
So we can,
fascinating. It's a wonderful job that you have.
get help.
It's huge, but it's just so exciting. Don't you think,
Yes.
Jan, to structure that whole thing and get in there and get it moving? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Emem, I don't know, Jan, have you got a final word that you would like to say to Emem?
All that I can say is that I think that Dr. Emem is up to it. And I think that it's motivating to be with you. Thank you so much. And I think that our liaison, the people who watch this video, will be motivated as well. And that's what we hope for. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
That's right. Emem, what I love doing in this job that I'm doing and with Jan, and I don't even call it a job, but is to see the spark in everybody. And you carry that spark, you've got it, and you emanate it. And that's what we're going to do and light up people all over the place. Thank you so very much for your time.
Very soon, we are going to put up our website. I'm working on the website.
Okay.
So that all the information that you need to follow the center and see what we're doing will be on the website.
Super.
So any other mass media tool we need, it to be in the open, so that, because we need feedbacks from you as well. Of course, you know that there are so many things we need to learn from you.
I think it's a very much a co-learning project. I don't know that there are other policies, as maybe in Singapore, maybe in South Korea. They have policies that are pretty well advanced, as you well know. But then just finally, we will talk to you, not right now, but we will talk to you. We've got a wonderful advisor with the Pass It On Network called Elizabeth Eisel, and her speciality is the incubator for seniors.
Fantastic! I need her.
You do need her. You do need her.
Please.
She's got a whole process, and we're busy doing a pilot down in South Africa. So if we could do a pilot in Nigeria, that would be absolutely wonderful.
Fantastic. I need her to come and build our capacity here. We really need her.
Absolutely.
Talk to her, see how we can. Yeah,
The wonderful thing is that it doesn't matter what the educational background is. People who have the spark of, of entrepreneurship, they have an entrepreneurial spirit, and they're used to making do, and they're used to creating the most out of what they have. What her program does, what Elizabeth Eisel's program does, is to turn that into experienced entrepreneurship. It's amazing.
Oh, I need her like yesterday. Please send her to me.
Good. We'll send you to her. I'm going to send her to you. Emem, thank you so very much. We're really, really delighted to be with you. And this is the first of many interviews, because we'd like to have different aspects and then see how you're getting along and hear about your successes, and walk this journey with you and spread the news as far as possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank